Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks to the witnesses for being here. I come sort of at the end, so I have a long list of questions. Most of them have been answered. I want to say thank you very much for the good work that you're doing in developing this vaccine, and of course, we wish you the best of luck. A couple things I didn't hear that I wanted to ask about were about interactions with the flu vaccine. Will patients in the ordinary course be able to get this vaccine at the same time as the flu vaccine? And when will we know if there's dangerous interactions between the vaccine and other medications? And anybody?
I think during the course of our clinical studies around the world, we'll be looking at all of the appropriate drug-drug interactions with comorbidities, etc., that you would need to publish with, to run with any regulatory filing, and you need to be aware of that. And obviously, the regulators would look at that. As a consequence, label you appropriately. So I think that will be discovered during the clinical studies that we're running.
And also, you've spoken, and I think people have spoken at length about the elderly. And I guess the question I had is whether the very young kids are going to be able to get or use this vaccine. Are you testing that vulnerable population as well as older folks as part of the phase 3 trial?
So I can go again. We have a pediatric study that will be ongoing in the United States, in addition to the broader population of 18-year-olds to 70 pluses.
I can comment. Yeah, we are planning to initiate our pediatric program once there's evidence of efficacy in the adult population.
The vaccine is available later for those populations than for other folks, or will that be affected by? Will that affect the schedule at all?
Well, we'll need to understand what the schedule is and the immune response, but you don't necessarily need an efficacy study in that population to be able to just generating the appropriate safety and immune response data.
Okay. And just in the couple of minutes I have left, one of the issues that's come up as a result of us, our country not being prepared for this, is the availability onshore of the materials we need. Obviously, PPE was a big topic of conversation, ventilators, but I wanted to ask about basic pharma. A lot of the basic pharma that has not been available has already become generics. It's not the ones that you're involved with, the United States, in terms of domestic production. That most of that is produced overseas in India. I ask each of you for your thoughts on how the United States should strategize around making sure that those drugs, those pharmaceuticals, are available onshore when we need them in the case of a second wave or the next pandemic. Maybe start with Mr. Young.
No, thank you for your question. I think the question of availability of high quality essential medicines is a critical one for every healthcare system around the world. And that's something certainly that we've tried to play our part and are very committed to. I mentioned earlier in response to the previous question that actually our manufacturing network in the United States has seen a significant surge in a number of those injectable medicines that are off patent. They're basic, but absolutely vital to essential care, particularly in an intensive care situation. We've seen volume spikes of 10 or 15-fold for some of those medicines, given what we've seen in intensive care units. So we believe it's absolutely critical. Certainly, we are committed to our United States supply network. We have 12 sites in the United States, across 10 states and Puerto Rico, 11,000 colleagues in our manufacturing network based in the US, and something we're very committed to and trying to honor the spirit of your question.
Maybe ask the representative of Johnson & Johnson, maybe more specifically, how would you suggest that we as a committee and as a Congress strategize getting those basic drugs, many of which are generic, onshore for the next pandemic?
I'm not sure I'm the best place to answer that. My focus is indeed on vaccines. What I can say is that we are committed to providing our products and making sure that the people who are already on those medications have access to those first and foremost, and then those who are at risk are next in line for that. And so far, we're monitoring our supply and making sure that we are able to continue to provide the pharmaceuticals that we've marketed.
Thank you. It's probably a topic for future hearings, but I really appreciate your thoughts. And Madam Chair, I yield back.